everyone. My name is Irene. I want to share a very terrible thing that happened to me back in November 2024, and I want to tell you how I eventually got it rectified. So here's the story. On November 13th, when I was heading to work, a stranger stopped me. He told me that he left his phone on the Uber and if I can help him. So I asked him about his phone number and I called the number for him, but no one picked up, obviously. And when I was trying to walk away, he grabbed my phone and started typing. It asked if he's texting the driver. He said yes, but I was really suspicious because he seems very busy with my phone, like he's swiping different places. But I was alone. There's no one else around me. And I kept asking him, like, can I have my phone back? I'm late for work. But he refused to return it to me. And after about 5 minutes, he returned my phone and walked away saying that the driver has come back. So I head to work, and while I was walking, I checked my phone because I was suspicious. And I saw emails from Chase asking me if I would approve a $3,000 transaction. Of course, I denied it immediately. And I saw that the transaction was done through Venmo. So I logged into my Venmo app and saw that there's a 2,500 transaction that went through. Obviously, that person wasn't really texting the driver. He was actually hacking into my Venmo account and transferring money to him. So I called Venmo immediately and asked, did he do any other transaction that I'm not aware of? And they told me he did one 4,800 transaction that was denied due to insufficient funds, and another $3,000 that was denied by me after I received the email, and the 2,500 that went through. So I told Venmo this is an unauthorized transaction. You should stop this transaction and reverse it immediately. And the customer service said, okay, I will report it to our dispute team and they will investigate this case. And then I asked her, should I also call Chase because the money was funded by my bank? And she said, yes, you should also call your card issuer to file a chargeback. So that's what I did next. I called Chase, told them this is an unauthorized transaction and I want to file a dispute. I also called police on the same day and reported everything to the police department. On November 15th, so 2 days after the incident, I got a temporary credit from Chase and I thought this thing was done. I have reported everything to the authorities and the transaction is reversed. No one from either Chase or Venmo ever contacted me afterwards. So I thought my narrative is enough to prove my case. However, on December 31st, the last day of 2024, I found that the temporary credit was removed. This news completely ruined my holiday, but I did what I need to do. I called Chase and asked why it was denied. The customer service told me it was because Venmo's reply suggests it was an authorized transaction. I told her that no one ever asked me for the police report and requested to provide the police report to their claim specialist. I also asked to reopen the claim so that they can review the case again with my police report. So after the phone call, I checked my Venmo app and it says that the dispute is still under review. Specifically, they say the chargeback was initiated by Chase on November 14th and it was contested by Venmo on December 4th. So I called Venmo to clarify this. And Venmo's customer service guaranteed me that the dispute is indeed still under review. So I requested to talk to their account specialist, but the customer service has no direct contact with the department. And they said account specialists only communicate with customers through in-app messages and emails. But he did provide me a link to upload my police report. So I submitted my police report to Chase and to Venmo on January 1st, and I thought they would review the case and they would rule in my favor. But I never heard back from them for 4 or 5 days. So on January 6th, I called Chase again to follow up with the case, and the customer service told me that I still lost the case. The customer service even told me that the police report doesn't hold any weight because I could lie to the police to defraud them. So I called Venmo again, and they told me that the case is still under review. So I really have no idea why Chase can decide in the recipient's favor while Venmo is still investigating. So I tried to clarify the chargeback process with Venmo, and they told me there are 2 different processes. One is chargeback with my financial institution, and the other is Venmo's internal dispute process. The former is handled by their chargeback team, whose responsibility is to provide information that the bank asks for, while the later is handled by their account specialist who will review your account. And because I filed a chargeback with my bank, the chargeback team in Venmo essentially take over the case and the internal dispute process was paused. So I called Chase again and requested a copy of the document on which their decision was made. And this is specified in Regulation Z for credit cards and Regulation E for debit cards that allows customers to request a written document of claim denial. And the document said that because the IP address used for this transaction is the same as my previous Venmo transactions, this is regarded as an authorized transaction. So basically, it means that if you have ever used Venmo on your phone, then any Venmo transaction through your phone will be regarded as authorized. Even if your phone is stolen or, like in my case, was held hostage, it will still be deemed as authorized. So on Sunday, I filed a CFPB complaint, that is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, against both Chase and Venmo. 5 days later, I got a call from Chase executive office about the case. I told her everything about the incident, and she said she will advocate for me. I felt really weird because I thought if it is escalated to the executive office, then they can make the decision. But she told me no. So the executive office only relay the information they receive from CFPB to their claim department, who ultimately makes the decision. So I know if they have denied my claim twice, this is not really going to help. And I was right. They denied my claim again for the third time. After a couple of days, I also got a call from PayPal's executive office. So if you don't know, PayPal and Venmo are under the same company. They share one executive office. That is why Venmo's customer service doesn't have a direct line to their executive office. And you will never be able to find an email or phone number to Venmo's executive office because that doesn't exist. So on a phone call with Venmo's executive office, the person told me that he strongly agrees that it was an unauthorized transaction, and he would love to refund me the money right away. He also told me that they sent this sentiment to Chase on November 16th, which is different from what I saw in my app. In my app, they said the chargeback was filed on November 14th and the chargeback was contested by Venmo on December 4th. So I asked if he knew who the document was sent to or whether it is actually received. And he said he couldn't tell me that information because it was sent automatically. They don't know who it was sent to, and they cannot confirm whether it was received. So I strongly believe that this statement from Venmo's account specialist team was never reviewed by Chase. Instead, they only used a document sent from Venmo's chargeback team on December 4th, which only include whether the IP address was the same for my prior Venmo transactions. So I then asked him, if you do think this is an unauthorized transaction, why can you not just reverse the transaction for me right now? And he told me that because I filed a chargeback with Chase, I can't dispute the transaction anymore with Venmo. After he told me that, I felt very frustrated because even though they do agree this is an unauthorized transaction, I cannot get the money back because that information was not accurately communicated with my financial institution. And that miscommunication between these two institutions resulted in my loss. And after my phone call with Venmo's executive office, I received their formal reply on CFPB portal. And this is what Venmo says. They say the payment was sent as a personal payment. A personal payment is money you used for a gift, a living expense, or other non-purchase purposes, such as money owed to friends or family, and therefore is not eligible for Venmo purchase protection. They also said, you contact Venmo and reported the payment as unauthorized. This prompts Venmo to initiate an investigation of the transaction and suspend your account to prevent further unauthorized activity. The investigation includes reviewing at your account login history and payment history. On November 16th, 2024, Venmo received notification that a chargeback was filed with your card issuer. The chargeback was filed because you reported the payment was unauthorized. It is important to know that when the sender of a payment files a chargeback, the card issuer, not Venmo, will determine who wins the chargeback. But later in that reply, they also said, On January 1st, 2025, Venmo was notified that your card issuer decided the chargeback in your recipient's favor. The decision was made by your card issuer and not by Venmo. Additional requests for information regarding this chargeback should be directed to your card issuer by contacting them directly. Venmo's Purchase Protection Program states you must choose whether to pursue a dispute with us under the Venmo Purchase Protection Program or to pursue the dispute with your card issuer. If you pursue a dispute with the card issuer, you cannot pursue a dispute claim under the Venmo Purchase Protection Program with us later. Accordingly, we denied your request for reimbursement. But on the other hand, reply from Chase to my CFPB complaint says that you will need to dispute the transaction directly with Venmo. We apologize for the inconvenience. So now Chase said I should dispute it with Venmo, but Venmo said I should dispute it with Chase, and no one's taking responsibility. But if you pay attention to Venmo's reply, you can see there are a lot of self-conflicting statements. Firstly, I filed a dispute with Venmo first instead of later. Secondly, they first said this transaction does not qualify for the Purchase Protection Program, but they later quote the same program as a reason why I can't appeal a refund with Venmo. Therefore, the next step I took is that I filed another CFPB complaint against Venmo with the above reasons. I also sent an email to PayPal's executive office and their CEOs with the exact reason and included a copy of my CFPB complaint. I also quoted Regulation E regarding unauthorized transactions through a non-bank P2P payment provider. I requested them to reverse the transaction if the fund is still in the recipient's Venmo balance, or write a written statement of unauthorized debit copy, or WSUD, as the original depository financial institution, or ODFI, to request debit return from the recipient's bank, which is the receiving depository financial institution, or RDFI. Finally, I mentioned the recent lawsuit that CFPB take against Zelle and its partnering banks for allowing fraud to fester. On the next morning after I filed the second CFPB complaint and sending the executive office email, around 9 o'clock in the morning, I received an email from Venmo saying that a dispute was opened. And around 2 p.m. on the same day, Venmo notified me that I won the case and sent the $2,500 back. So what I have learned from this incident: first, never let other people use your phone. Set up guided access if you have iPhone and pings, so when people use your payment apps and exit from the apps, it takes more time and harder for them to log back in. Second, report any fraudulent activities as soon as possible, because under Regulation E, if you report it within 1 business day, you are only liable for $50 at most. Even if you are negligent about protecting your own identity, it is still protected. The example they write in the regulation is that if you write the PIN code on the back of your debit card and someone take your debit card and retrieve money from the bank, you are still protected from the regulation if you report it within a certain period of time. Third, which is more difficult, is to use your home computer for Venmo, Zelle, or other similar P2P payment apps. Because if someone gets access to your phone, at least the IP address will be different from what you used to use. And it will be more likely that you can win the chargeback with your bank. Fourth, if that person used the device you usually use for Venmo, then try to dispute it with Venmo first. They will review how they log into your Venmo account, how the behavior, if it deviates from your normal behavior, to decide whether it is unauthorized or authorized. I was fairly happy that they were able to do this thorough investigation and rule in my favor eventually. But it is not uncommon to hear people with similar experiences, but Venmo ruled in the favor for the fraudster. And this is also what their executive office told me. He said why their customer service advised me to file a chargeback with Chase in the first place is because banks are usually more likely to favor the person who initiates the chargeback compared to Venmo. So this is kind of hit or miss. Fifth, remember to request the reason why your claims are denied so you know better how to appeal. Like in my second CFPB complaint and my email to Venmo's executive office, I was able to point out the faults in their statements and quote the right regulations that eventually resulted in a favorable response. The financial system is set up intentionally convoluted to fool average customers who don't understand the laws. So it is very important to read through those documents and quote relevant regulations to fight for your rights. I saw many people recommend filing CFPB report on Reddit and thinking that CFPB will make everything right. This is absolutely not true. CFPB's main role is sending your complaint and all the supporting documents you provided to the company's executive office and requesting them to reply you in a timely manner, usually 15 days, but they can extend it to 60 days. They have no influence on the final decision made. So it really helps when you have very poor communication with the company. In my instance, the complaint against Chase is really unlikely to help because they are fixated on the fact that the transaction was done through my phone, which I used to use for other Venmo transactions. However, the complaint against Venmo could be helpful because I couldn't get hold of Venmo's executive team or their account specialist. If I didn't file the complaint, I would not know that Venmo and PayPal has the same executive office, and I was not able to talk to their executive office or send them an email afterward. Lastly, remember to file a police report and follow up with the detective assigned to the case. Because even if you get your money back, it is important to make sure that fraudsters receive the legal consequences they deserved. So here is my story. I am really happy that it worked out eventually. And I really hope this would help anyone who unfortunately has fallen victim to your own kindness. If you find this video helpful, please leave a comment, like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.